Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fantasy Aussie Rules Show, presented and brought to you by GameDay Squad. We are here for another week to talk about the round that just was and then preview and look in to the round that is going to be. And I am joined by my good friend and trusty co-host in Cow, mate. I know I always ask you this, but are you ready to rip into this week and chop up some fantasy footy content?
I'm always ready to rip in. There have been weeks where I've been more excited to talk about how I've gone on the weekend. But yes, I'm here. Let's get into it. Just one. This season. It's been a bit of a rough year if you've been following along. But beauty about GameDay Squad is we can go again this week. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to make some moves. Keen to talk to you all about it.
Mate, I can't wait to talk because this round was riddled by injuries, and you don't have to say yours yet, but I know that one is very, very close to home and is probably the biggest reason why I would have nabbed you this week, which I did at 2,797 points, the mighty Zeus Cannons. Bit of an unders week, in all honesty. It's disappointing. I'll get into it, but it was enough to finish in the top 50 at least. I ranked 39th for the round, and I'm now 12th in the seasonal competition. So I've fallen down 3 spots there. As we said, it is so close. One average or okay week is the difference between a top 10 and, being outside of it. But my top 3 players, the ones that I don't have to worry about, are the following. Dane Zorko, 218 GameDay Squad fantasy points. Luke Ryan with 195 and Hayden Young 141. But let's go to my bottom 3. These are the real reasons why I didn't perform well this week. And the first one, it's not his fault, but it's Tom Green with a juicy 8 fantasy points at my midfield. Lockie Whitfield getting the tag by James Jordan, and that was interesting. He finished with 63 fantasy points, by far his lowest performance for the season. And then one person that I've been sticking with all year, all I've done is back you up, and you've come back to bite me in the bum. It's Shai Bolton. 50 fantasy points on the weekend, just not good enough from him. And honestly, I had Jai Caldwell, who subbed out injured, and still scored more points than all those 3 players. So even an injured player that I had played better than 2 players there who played a full game, which is super disappointing. And I've got a bonus bottom player for you this week, Cal. I've been rambling on a while, but let me finish it off. It's going to be you. Max Gorn Week, you called it. You allow me right now to read out the lists of rucks in round 8 who outperformed Gorn. English, the GOAT, Grundy, Cherry, Marshall, Meek. It wasn't even close. They had an extra 50 points on top of him. Gorn Week was a failure. In the bin. Don't try that again, mate.
First of all, it was still Max Gorn Week. He just obviously didn't show up to his own week, which was a little bit annoying. Spoiler. My dud of the week was Max Gorn for not showing up to his own week I made about him. So that was a bit disappointing. Mate, like you said, I finished 125th, 2,575 points, and I was just riddled. I got the injury bug this week. It was not pretty. I'm now down to 41st, which means I'm almost 1,000 points back from 10th. So my squad needs to dig in. We need to figure out. We need to have like a players-only meeting and try and turn this around. But quickly through it, top 3, Dacos 146. Sarong 162, and I don't think we gave Zorko the love there. Can we talk about that for a second? This man got a 218 points. I was out. I didn't see it live.
Is that the record?
I'm not sure.
Is that the all-time record, or is that better than Hogan's monster performance last year? We need to fact check that because that literally could be the greatest GameDay Squad performance of all time. And this is coming off a week where I had him in my 3 points, being like his role changed. Should we still be starting him?
I think he does pip Hogan. I think I did look at that. I think Hogan was like mid 215, like 215 thereabouts. So yeah, which is nuts. So we can definitely fact check that and then look into it for the live show on Thursday. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was refreshing my phone and being like, this can't be real. This can't be right. This can't be right. Now I had him in my squad, so I was all for it. But I'm like, something's going wrong here. Quickly, bottom 3. You know what? I had all the same as you. I had Whitfield in there. I had Tom Green as an honourable mention, and I had Bolton in there. And of course, I had my boy Rosie. So yeah, very, very disappointing.
Tough day.
Yeah. Tough round. Injuries aren't fun. The Lockie Whitfield tag he's starting to get off the chain, and then it rained, so then the game just did not suit him. I was kind of hoping that it was a bit drier and a bit of a pod. I didn't even throw in there Harry Sheezel, who had a disappointing by his standards week. You know what? I could have had this list of my worst just keep going because, like you said, Perkins was in there. Max Gawn didn't even feature in my bottom. Like, yeah, no, it wasn't a great week for the peanut butters.
I didn't know you started Perkins.
Yeah,
or Caldwell,
I did.
you mean?
I started Perkins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, just
fair call.
Yeah, just a rough round, all round. I know a lot of
weeks,
coaches.
Mate, I get it. I can.
Yeah.
So I can feel the pain in your voice.
If you did navigate it and somehow finished in the top 10 and got some of those awesome prizes, congratulations, because you've done really well. But it was not us.
Yeah, well done.
Who'd you give stud to? Is that where you're going to go on and talk about Zorko?
Yeah, well, mate, I can confirm for you. It is the record-breaking stud forward who, from my understanding, he has the second highest average or third highest in GameDay Squad right now, period. We're talking about Dane Zorko. Are you joking? In 2024, he has 218 fantasy points to get the Suns, 35 kicks. Now, I thought that was an input error. I thought there's no way this guy has 35 kicks alone. He did, man. 16 marks, 5 tackles. That's exactly how you bounce back off his worst performance for the season, which, again, wasn't even that bad, but it was definitely his worst performance, and he comes out and he breaks the all-time record. So, mate,
and
I can't even believe it.
You were sitting there, but did you play him? You did?
Of course I did.
Because I know you were concerned about... You say of course, but you were worried about the role change. You sat here last week and you're like, listen, I don't know, I didn't like it. I didn't know if you were going to commit to changing it. Thankfully, you didn't. But, yeah.
Yes.
Wow, Woody, hey?
Yeah, I can't believe what just came out of my mouth. 35 kicks, 16 marks, 5 tackles, 218 fantasy points from Dane Zorko, 2024. Mate, he's aging like a fine wine, I'll tell you what. Keep that man in your squad right now. Let the good times roll.
I called Kerm because I was like, Kerm, is this actually happening? Because I wasn't watching it live. He was in a world of hurt, that poor man. I don't think he played him, and I don't think he was happy with how his Suns were going in that Sunday Q clash. Yep. So rough time all around.
The best rivalry in AFL. How good. Lived up. Lived up to it. But, mate, why don't you get into the dud of the round?
Well, I've given it to you already. I've already told you it was Maxi Gawn, 105.
Okay.
I don't want to keep talking about it because... Yes, I had lots of DMs being like, Max Gawn week. Well done. Yes. Well done, me. Did really well there. I think we're going to have to change some of those slides.
We need to come up with one in the live show. I reckon there needs to be something out of that because not only was it just not Max Gawn week, but he got flogged by most of the other ruckmen in the comp, which is a bit disappointing.
Maybe the Max Gawn humiliation week. But I'm going to give you my award. And this one's a sad one this week. It is sad, but I'm trying to cheer myself up with it. The Smile Because It Happened award. And of course I'm talking about Harry Sheezel and the role change that now has him potentially losing his set and forget status in all of our backlines this season. So he had a very different game by his standards. You know, I've got his all-star running around, but his lowest score of 100 for the season. Didn't even hit 10 kicks. So he still found a bunch of the footy. He was just handballing it. But yeah, very different role for him. I need to see it again. I'm not rushing to get him out of my squad this week, but I tell you what, I'm very, very nervous, but I'm also very appreciative of everything that man has done to my squad because it would be a lot worse if I didn't have him running around for the last, what are we up to? 9 weeks of footy. So
9 weeks of footy, and he had his all-star. Like, he single-handedly has kept you somewhat in the running. But
1,500 points alone.
That's sad to hear, man.
There you go.
Oh, what a jet. Goodness gracious. I'll get into mine then. Are you ready for this? You're going to like this one.
Go on, cheer me up.
The king of Chippies. And the king of Chippies is going to none other than Luke Ryan. The real Slim Shady, the GOAT of the kick mark combination, as some would say. The one that would run from the 50-metre arc just to get a kick in. He will sprint down to that goal square if that's what it takes. The one that never fails to step outside the goal square and to get a kick. It's Luke Ryan. 31 kicks, 15 marks. You're bloody kidding me, mate. Take a bow. You're locked into my squad until much further notice. So thank you, the king of Chippies. You're doing me such a good service this year, and I love the way you play, and I'm going to keep riding. Love it.
Love it. Love it. Well, he's actually my first name on my next segment. So should we jump straight into it? Because we're getting into the transfer market segment here.
Segue in.
I need some help. I'm 1,000 points back. I'm looking at my squad, and listen, I feel like I've got all the pieces, but I don't know. And now I am worried about that Harry Sheezel, and I'm worried about my Connor Rosey. So I need a premium, A-grade, all-star target. Now, that's not what this week's for, because I'm looking at my account and I've got $3.57, so I'm a while away from getting that. So it's about building up that capital again. So I've got a few players, and you being the expert this season, I want you to tell me what you would be doing about them. Okay. Now, I want you... I don't want it just to be
the wrong answers only segment?
No, maybe. I want it to be... I want it to... help your community, everyone that follows along and listens. I want it to be
for the community. Got it.
Now, maybe you don't want to sell, but maybe you're trimming the stock. Maybe if you've got a bunch of these cards, you're cutting down. Maybe you still want to buy. So sort of talk about what you're doing, because I'm going to give you the name that we just said, Luke Ryan. He's 28. He's just had 195. What are you doing? Are you still buying up Luke Ryans? Are you trying to just skim down so you've got one of each? Would you be trying to sell more than that on this high? What are you doing? First name, Luke Ryan, go.
One of each. I don't think it's a situation just like considering age 28 maybe, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He's a great player, don't get me wrong. Are the good times going to last forever? No. Do you want a Luke Ryan for, preparing for some of the things we hinted at last live? Maybe some multi-comps? Maybe you're going to need to play more than one Ryan really soon. Yes, you're going to want to play more than one Ryan if that's a possibility. So I would be getting my hands on some Luke Ryans. But I wouldn't be going over the top and, but make sure you have them. You're going to want to play.
Right. Fair. What about the next boy? Another big score on the weekend, 175 points. The 27-year-old Josh Dunkley. What are you doing?
I'm going to go the exact same as Luke Ryan. Make sure you have a couple of them. I'm not over collecting Josh Dunkleys right now. The midfield's a tough position to be elite in this year. But fortunately, at the moment, he is one of the elite, so you definitely want to start him in your squad.
Yep, fair. So if someone doesn't have let's say, gold Josh Dunkley, would you be saying that's a move you'd be making? Or are you saying, no, there's better players you could be looking to get gold in the midfield?
Well, there's probably, to start right now, there's better players to get in your midfield, and I'd probably be targeting a silver or a bronze if I'm getting a Dunkley right now, if that's the answer you want.
Yeah, perfect. Last one here for you. The man is back. Nick Newman, 32 years old, massive 174 on the weekend. He was touching the footy constantly. What would you be doing with him? 32, no Doherty. Is this the time to sell high?
Let me just get into my thing, because this is my first point. I have advice for all coaches out there, so listen up right now. Sell high on Nick Newman. In 8 games, he's cracked 100 3 times. His role doesn't have consistent points. If you want to hang on to him and play him as a pod, I completely understand, because there's going to be particular matchups. You might want to start it. But for me right now, I reckon get absolute maximum value coming off a ripper game for Nick Newman. I'm selling high. I don't want any part of Nick Newman anymore. There's my thoughts there, Cal. But let me move on, because I have some must-target players, and I've done this a little differently this week, and I want your opinions after I give them. But I'm going to go for some maybe left field players. I don't want to talk about the tip of the top. I want to give you some players that are pods, and that if you're new to GameDay Squad, you could target these, and I think get them for relatively cheap via a trade, however you want to wheel and deal,
Yeah, look heavy.
Let's start off with a pod defender. Let's go Stephen May. 101 fantasy average for the season so far, but this guy's coming off back-to-back 125 fantasy plus point outings. You want a pod defender to chuck in your defense. He's not going to, you don't need to break the bank here. You're not going to have to give up too much to get a Stephen May. Go get yourself a Stephen May.
$1 for a silver is the cheapest at the moment. There you go.
What's your thoughts on that, Cal?
If I was new,
bring you to GameDay Squad, getting started. get a Stephen May in, right? Why not?
Yeah. I don't see many of the top players rolling out of Stephen May, but he is going to have these games where he just takes 15 marks and is just down there.
Outscored Sheezel.
Absolutely everything. Yeah, he did. She's a midfielder now, different role. So yeah, I like it. I like it. Stephen May,
okay.
As a pod player, yeah, I like it. I'll prove it.
Let's move on. Another pod. Let's go to the midfield this time. I reckon we go to someone who's a bit older, but he's still got that dog in him. It's going to be Rory Laird. Now, don't get me wrong. His numbers, they don't pop out to you, but if you're looking for a solid 115 fantasy point sort of floor, I think Rory Laird is that player for your midfield right now. Like his average, I think, is 113 for the year, but he's coming off some good form. He's in his best form of the season so far, and I reckon it's similar to May. Because there are so many elite mids right now, people aren't going to value Rory Laird as one of them anymore. So if you want to try to get someone on the low, I feel like Rory Laird's perfect to just put into your mid spot and get a nice floor of fantasy points.
Another silver running around for $1. So you've got a theme here. I am less excited about this one. I feel like if I want a pod, I want someone I know that could have a 150 game. I just don't know Rory Laird has that. I think he's had that in the past.
Yeah, that's true.
But whereas like May, it's just going to be a game where, like I said, he intercepts everything. Laird, I can't see him getting 35 touches and 10 tackles anymore. So I'm less excited about that one. But have you got another one for me?
I do. I'm going to go to the forward line. And I actually think you started this player last week. Let's go Jake Waterman. 101.3 fantasy point average. But the Eagles have desperately needed for a mobile forward who can come up the ground. And Waterman is cementing his role by doing exactly this. He actually has great marking ability if you watch him play. And when he's left one-on-one, he has a knack for kicking a sausage roll or two inside their forward 50. For me, he's a must-add player to your squad. You want him around there. Will he start every week? Maybe not. But goodness, when he's got a good matchup, get him in there. Why not?
Well, you say he loves a sausage roll or two. Do you know how many goals he's kicked in his last 4 weeks? Have a guess.
I don't know.
18.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's
probably
just, more than I was going to guess. I was going to say like 8.
Just quietly
18,
kicking.
Is it right?
Yeah. Quietly kicking bags at the moment. You can get him for 50 cents his silver. I did play him on the weekend. He didn't have the best game he's had in the month, but he's still, like you said, a pretty solid 96. And he's done that with 3 goals. And of course, GameDay scored 8 points for your goals. So you get a little bit more off the top of that.
What?
So yeah, 18
crazy. 18 goals in the past month.
The best player you do
What's
not know
he in the
about.
Coleman race? He's got to be like third, right?
Nah,
I think
it's
it's like 20 at the top.
Maybe. I did see that Charlie Curnow
goals in it. So
I saw Charlie. They put up the stat during the Blues game that he was leading, and I was like, hang on. Shocked me because if you'd asked me, I'd said Harry Mackay's being the star between those, but no. Currently, it is Curnow out on top as I try and bring it up here. Curnow 25, Hogan 24, Waterman 24, Harry Mackay 22.
It's tight. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, but man, wow. Waterman, 18 goals in the past month. That's got to be some of the most red-hot form in the AFL maybe ever. 4 weeks of footy to kick 18. That's pretty bloody fantastic. But Cal, you know what time it's for? It's time for your matchup matrix. And for everyone who doesn't know what Cal's about to do, he's about to identify some areas of interest on the weekend. He's going to tell you what line groups, what players you should be targeting and potentially starting this week in your squad. Because you can't just do the set and forgets. You need to be identifying these little niche differences. So, Cal, mate, I'm excited. You've been doing well on this segment all year. I want you to take it away with your matchup matrix and tell us where everyone needs to be looking for this next round.
So this week I've done something a little bit different. I wanted to rein it in because I feel like I've been nailing when I've been giving you 3 and I've been giving you the positions. But what I haven't been getting right, and I've got to work on, and this is my area of focus to work on because I have not been getting this right. I want to start telling you what players to play here a bit more. Because Max Gawn week was a failure, plain and simple.
It was.
But Bontempelli week? I don't know. Sounds pretty good this week. So I want to tell you why this week is going to be Bontempelli week. And are you ready for it? I'm going to try and redeem myself with this.
Ready for it.
So if you you backed me in last week and you were there in the live stream and you saw how confident I was with Gorn, sorry, but I'm going to do it again this week because he has the Richmond matchup. And what does Richmond love to do?
Concede points.
Concede points in the midfield. Why? Because they got no midfielders that want to play defensive on them, and they're depleted as a squad, but also you can score big against them, and I think this is the week. So Marcus Bontempelli, there you go. Jeez, I'm getting too excited. Is an absolute must start.
Play him. I like it.
Play him is a must start this week, and he's the only matchup I want to get right. I'm going 1 for 1 this week. He's going to be the guy. He's going to put up 135 minimum. So lock that one away. Okay. Really simple, short, sharp matchup matrix, but I'm going to nail it.
Alrighty. I don't know, man. I'm really surprised you didn't go the Hawthorn route against the Saints, just with the way the Saints play. But anyway, your matchup matrix this week, you're going to nail this one.
Is it your face on the screen right now?
Bonson play him is the call. Well, I'm somewhere on the screen, just not.
You're not there with the fancy numbers and stuff running behind. Yeah, no, I like it. And he's been a little bit up and down, old Bont. Have you been playing him the last few weeks?
I did play him on the weekend. Scores. I think he had 119.
Yeah, 120, 107, 128, 64, 173. So he's kind of been like this. Now, I'm a bit nervous about the Bevo situation, that part of it all, but they can't lose to Richmond, surely. But yeah.
Swans did. I don't want to talk about that.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
But alrighty, let's get back to school, Cal. It's time for me to become the professor again. And I've been doing good at this all year, I feel like. Been highlighting some players of interest. And this year, your matchup matrix has stolen my player of focus. But I might take an even deeper dive into the 2023 Most Valuable Fantasy Player Award winner. It's going to go to the player who obtained the highest average over that season, the man known as best as the Big Bad Bont. Marcus Bontempelli, or as Cal said this week, play him. He's had a season of many highs, but also many lows. I want to look at why, and I want to take a look at his early season report card. We're going to start this one off this week, Cal, with the ability to rest up forward because my legs hurt, and that's an A for me. 2023 Bont would be livid with the 2024 work rate of Marcus Bontempelli. That guy was single-handedly carrying that midfield last year, and this year all he wants to do is sit full forward and kick a couple snags.
It's almost like Bevo wants to get himself fired.
The ability to get robbed of a Brownlow is an A+++. Oh. This guy has been robbed in broad daylight in front of thousands of others. I don't know how they allowed that to happen. Someone needs to call the police.
Yeah,
this guy's been robbed in front of everyone.
I do love Ollie Wines, but as the years go on, it gets harder and harder to just think that he won that Brownlow and Bont is out there doing his thing.
Even last year, Lachie Neale has a Brownlow.
Lachie Neale's a weapon, though. An absolute weapon. So I'm less for that one. But
okay, then. In the comments down below, who do you think had a better season last year? Bontempelli or Lachie Neale? I want to know. Maybe there are Lachie Neale, like they've watched it and go, you know what, actually he deserves it. Lions had a great year, don't get me wrong. Let's move on. Knows how to turn it on for fantasy owners. I'm going to give it a B+, because there are some quarters where it just feels like Bont can go missing, but my goodness, there are those games like at a gather round where Cal was watching Bont just absolutely turn back the clock, turn it on, 170 of the best for the big Bont. So B- because
week.
yes. Ability to play to his matchup. I'm going to give him an E. Whenever I count the Bont and be like, you know what, this week Bont's going to kill it. He doesn't do it for me. And then the moments I'm like, let's rest Marcus Bontempelli this year. He seems to play better. It's one of those players that I'm like doing every other week. Other than his big week at Gather Round, I have to say I nailed that one. But I just can't seem to get his other good weeks this season. I'm on and off the Bont, and I'm on and off him at the wrong time. So it's tough. It's tough. Anyway, next one. The easy pill get for Bont. That's a D. I don't think I ever see Bont get an easy pill get unless he goes forward. He just gets bashed around in that midfield. Him and Libba are like actual bulls. They just run into people. He just could score so many more points if he kept his feet more and didn't engage so hard physically. But that's his play style, and that's what the big bad Bont is all about. So I have to give it to him. I have to give him the credit that he deserves. But that's it. Marcus Bontempelli. A little bit more consistency from you this year. You've been in my midst every single week. But I'm a little bit nervous about this week because I just told you how he plays good when I think he's going to bad. What if that happens again? So I don't want to talk that into existence, Cal. Matchup Matrix is getting a W this week. And it's going to start with Bont proving me wrong with that grade exactly.
Love it. Gone week over. Bont to playing week in. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Let's do it. We're going to flip that new chapter. We're moving on. That new chapter's been cemented. But Cal, that's going to wrap us up for another week of the Aussie Rules Show, brought to you all by GameDay Squad. We're hoping that this week, firstly, is full of less injuries for all of our squads because no one wants to see that. No one wants to check and see injured, subbed out. No. The worst feeling as a fantasy coach, maybe of all time. Has to be?
That, well, has actually, be, right? now you... Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. I got to ask you, did you play Tom Green? You said you did?
I did. Yeah. I played
How
Tom
did you
Green.
feel as a Swans fan?
Well.
I wanted to ask you at the time. Tom Green goes down 5 minutes in. Big tick for the Swans.
Yeah.
Big cross for your Zeus Cannons. What were your thoughts? Initial thoughts. Banks. It happened. Sadness.
Yeah, but because I thought we had them covered anyway. That might be me being naive as well, by the way, because Tom Green's one of the best. And I have my Swans goggles on, and I was watching that game going, we can't lose this. Doesn't matter, Tom Green's playing. So it was sadness, because that was just one player, scratch him out, all the points gone, and I would have liked to have seen the matchup. But I tell you what, I didn't ask you this before we go. Toby Green, did you end up starting him?
I did, yeah. Not good.
Yeah, we did the business on that, man. He was no good on the weekend. He normally comes to the SCG and has 5. It's for the first time that I haven't had nightmares going to sleep about Toby Green coming to the SCG. So how good?
Yeah,
that was good choice for me.
That Tom Green injury looked like it just changed the Giants. I still believe if it doesn't rain, they beat you. They looked bloody good at the end of that first quarter. The rain comes. And it's a different game, which is really interesting because like the Swans are, I think that was 16th for contested possession in the league, and the Giants were like top 3. So you think the rain would have the complete opposite effect, but no, your boys got it done. Sure. So credit to them. But yeah, it's definitely more exciting than the Q Clash.
Oh, that's for sure. And we took more risks than them. They were playing a really safe game because of the wet weather footy. They just kicked it long down the line, really predictable. We came back through the middle. We tried to switch. Like, just taking those risks can lead to heaps of rewards, and it did for us. And over the whole game, they just became too predictable, and it is what it is. Up the Swannies, eh? Tied up the top. Shout out to the Demons for knocking off Geelong. Like to see that. Oh,
all right, wrap it up. People are sick of you talking about this. Come on.
All right. Well, if you want to talk more about the Swans, come to Thursday's live show. I'll be there for a whole hour to talk more. But we'll catch all your legends at the live on Thursday. And good luck in your next fantasy weeks. Peace out, everyone.